everydaytaichi. Let's warm up. Hands at your waist, turn your neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Stretch your neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn your shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Expand your chest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Waist exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Airplane. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Touch toe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn your hips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Be careful. Shift your weight. Kick your foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Kick your butt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn your knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Heisman, opening up our span, parallel feet. Choose one side, cross and sit on that side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Shift weight, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Short one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Other way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Practicing our good golden cockerel, first thinking about our good Tai Chi posture, okay? Turning this way, and then we'll do it at our own pace, trying to remember the elements. First of all, dropping those shoulders, side seam of your pants, your middle finger, sinking your chest, tucking your butt, opening up our span, chin slightly down, tongue on our palate, head straight up. 50-50, shift your weight to the left, up. Okay, so now I'm going to turn around, but you just continue what you're doing, okay? You'll be on the opposite side, but all I want to show you is that my front hand centers my body, the back hand or side hand sits to the side, out and to the side. Synchronizing our movements in that when our hand comes up, our foot comes up. Hand comes down, foot comes down. Not any earlier, not any later, as much as possible. The hand that centers your front should hold your balance and center you. The hand that sits to the side should be out and to the side, not to the back. Remember that it's holding the top of a ball, okay? Last one, very good. All right, now we're gonna kick out. In a similar way, just like our hand centers our body so that our foot can come up, our hands come to center ourselves to help us with our balance, and then we follow the kick in a counterbalance way, okay? Here we go. Opening up our span, shifting our weight, center, cross, and out. Last set. We're going to go over our foot alignment, okay? Feet alignment. Hands at our waist. Rooting down on our right on a T stance. Make sure your shoulders are back but not arched. You're straight up. You're going to take an L stance out into the side. Move that energy across your chips and chest and shoulders out to a bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot, firm down, T, out on an L, turn the hips and waist, move that energy, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot, firm down, T stance, out and to the side, L stance, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot, firm down, T, out on an L, turn the hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot, T, now let's test ourselves. Out on an L, turn the hips and waist, bow stance. Now drag your left foot back. And do you have a span? If you have a span, that's good. If you have hardly a span, then what could you have done to correct it? Let's all do a corrected version. This is a T stance. We want to come out and to the side. How? With your hand. Show me. Out and to the side in one motion. So the heel has to come here. Where does the heel have to come? Here. Now match it with your real heel. Here. Is that right? Drag it back. Is that a better span? Yes or no? Let's do it again. T stance. We need to come here with our heel in one motion. Where? Heel. Turn the hips and waist, bow stance. Drag that foot back. There should be a big gap. So you're saying, well, you know, I'm listening to you and I am doing out and to the side, but perhaps your out and to the side is not clearly a bigger span, a big enough span. So let's review what it means to be a bigger span. If I do it correctly, my shoulders should align the front foot as well as the back foot. That's the span we need. That's the width that we need. Okay? Now, I'm looking at some of you, and I don't want you to feel that you need to take this huge span to make this happen. That's not the point. The point is that you need to come out and to the side on a nice, comfortable way so that you don't feel like you're stretched out. Okay? All right. Another way of making a good alignment is that, I don't know if we use our fingers. Do we use our fingers? I don't think so. Let's use our finger, our pointing finger, right hand. Put it up. This is your body. This is your danten points. Your head, your chest, and your 2 inches below your navel. Now, you can advance, move it forward. You can go backwards. You can go to the side, either side. But anytime you move, this body of yours, or this cable of yours, this system of yours, needs to stay erect. All right? Now, let's do it wrong. If we came out and to the side and we did a bow stance and our body flipped this way, our rod goes this way, that's not good. Okay? So what do we have to do? If we keep this pointing finger straight up and we're forward this way, we're going to have to match that finger to our body stance, okay? So it goes in line with our feet alignment. That's why I bring it up. So these are ways in which you can correct yourselves, okay? Can I show you something wrong and see if you can see the wrong in it, okay? The incorrect alignment. If I'm at a good T stance and I'm rooted down, I come straight this way, you know that there's no way that I can even turn. I can only do a partial turn. There's just no room. And another way of checking is there's a clash in the feet. So what can I do to correct it? We said we needed to come out here on our heel. We needed to come out here on our heel. Now does this give me room to move that knee to come out safely here? It does. Therefore, I do not feel that I have to go forward or contort my body. I still have it straight up. So there are, each item that I brought up bears on each other, okay? So you want to, and it's okay to use your finger if it's a good way of checking yourselves, okay? All right. Then so you need to kind of practice that. And another way we said, the knee cannot go beyond the toe. If the knee goes beyond the toe, our Tai Chi posture then is thrown forward. We need to bring it back up. And keep your bow and keep your arrow. Then we added hand motions to it. And when we add hand motions to a basic footwork, it sometimes complicates things. So you want to be able to lay the groundwork for the feet really well and understand that. All right, so we're on a T stance. And instead of putting it at our waist, we decided that we would hold our ball correctly, chest level and 2 inches below your navel. We know that if our left foot is ready to go, our left hand has to be on the bottom. Here we go. Out and to the side, move that ball, part the wild horse's mane. Get a good stretch. Sit back, sit down, pivot, firm down. That's where your energy is stored. Hold your ball for a better balance. Bring it in. Out on an L, move that ball, part the wild horse's mane. Stretch. Sit back, sit down, pivot, firm down. T stance, hold your ball for better balance. Out and to the side, move that ball, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot, center yourselves on a T. Out on an L, move that ball, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot, firm down, T and ball. Out on an L, move that ball. Here's your snack, right to the middle and then to the side. What happens to the backhand? The backhand sits to the side as if it were holding the top of a ball. Sit back, sit down, pivot, firm down, T, ball, L, move the ball, check your stance. Are you upright? Is your knee not beyond your toe? Is your left hand holding the ball from the top? Do you have a bow and do you have an arrow? Sit back, sit down, pivot, firm down, T. Okay, so everybody's really doing good, trying their best, and that's what we want you to do. If you feel that you are comfortable like this with a small gap, we can accept it. But just realize that the gap is a little bit too small. You're going to have to, in your minds, you're going to have to exaggerate it a little bit more, okay? Because the better you can give me a gap according to your physique, the better you can make that rotation. If you give me something that's almost there, you're still going to have a trouble turning. You need that room to make that full turn, okay? So we want to be careful. We don't want to practice something wrong and then think it's correct, continue to do it, and then let it backfire on us, okay? All right. Now we're going to try to do some Tai Chi walk, okay? So we're going to take maybe 2 steps back, and we're going to go forward towards the wall. We will do a dry run first and just do the feet work with our hands at our waist. We're in good Tai Chi posture. We pivot on our right heel as if we were walking in that zigzag position. We lift up our left foot. We place it down on its heel. This is the L stance. We turn our hips and waist, and this is called the bow stance. Sit back, sit down, zigzag, out as if you're walking in that zigzag position. Put down your heel, out and to the side, turn the hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, walk in that zigzag position, put your heel out and to the side as an L stance, parallel to the line of the floor or on a line. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, zigzag, heel on a line or parallel to the line as you flatten, bow stance. Sit back, sit down. Now we're going to zigzag by pivoting, and we're going to hold our ball, left hand on the bottom because left foot is ready to go. Out and to the side, move that ball, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, zigzag, hold your ball. Right foot, right heel out, move that ball. Right hand parting the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, hold your ball, out on an L, parallel or on the line, move that ball, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, hold your ball, move that ball in an L, bow stance. I think in this linear movement, you can better get your gap, or you can see the gap that I'm creating, and hopefully you can mimic it. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, hold your ball, move that ball in an L, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, hold your ball, out on an L, move that ball, part the wild horse's mane. Half step forward, hold your ball. Spin your ball to the right, lift up the right hand, lift up the left foot, point it on its toe. White crane spreads its wings. Okay? Now let's turn around. Stay where you are, but just turn and you're going to face the windows, okay? So now we're going to Tai Chi walk back, okay? All right, hands at your waist. Good Tai Chi posture, even distribution of weight. Pivot on your right foot, walk in that zigzag position. Out on your left heel, turn the hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, walk in that left position, out on your heel, L stance, turn the hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot to the right, walk in that right position, put your heel out on an L stance, turn the hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, right heel out on a line or parallel to the line, turn the hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot out. Left hand on the bottom, right hand on the top to hold your ball to center. Out on an L, move that ball, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, hold your ball, out on an L, move that ball, part the wild horse's mane. Very good, keep it up. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, hold your ball, out on your left heel, turn the hips and waist, part the wild horse's mane. Two more, sit back, sit down, pivot out, hold your ball for better balance, out on your right heel, move that ball, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, hold your ball for better balance, move that ball on an L, part the wild horse's mane. See if you can do it by listening. Half step forward, hold your ball. Spin your ball to the right, lift up your right hand, lift up your left foot, point with your left toe, white crane spreads its wings. All right, not bad. Okay, turn around. You should be back home a little bit off, but not too much off. Okay, very good. So we were doing something right. At least we got back home. We didn't change our position with our neighbors. So you've got to give yourself some credit there, huh? All right, it looks good, okay? It's a little difficult, but what I'm trying to do is show you the connection between this guy and this guy, so that you can do the same thing on your 3 or 4 squares and go linear. Once you know you can go forward, hey, you can even go backwards, okay? And we want to try to get to that by the end of our 10-week session, how we can go backwards. It's going to be fun, it's going to be safe, and it'll help you with a lot of good balance. So right away when you saw me, and you were pretty much watching me, when I did this L stance, you could clearly see that my feet were apart. That was one of the points that I wanted to bring up. But if you followed correctly, you probably did that same thing, which is good. You do not want to come here and not be able to turn, but you want to come here and then be able to turn, and already you see that the 2 feet are in 2 different planes with a big gap, okay? Now, what we're gonna do is take off on what we just did, put it into the 10 form, and then put it into the 24 form. We're going to review now how to repulse the monkey. Repulse the monkey comes early. It's a second step after we open or commence. We right away repulse the monkey. So when we repulse the monkey and the 10 form, we center the left hand. The right hand or back hand rises up higher. It opens both palms to the ceiling. We glance at the back hand as it brings it closer to the area of the ear. We turn our neck and face. We acknowledge that center, and we slide forward and slide back. What we do on one side, we must do on the other side, another Tai Chi principle, okay? So there's symmetry here. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this way now, okay? And we're gonna see the whole of repulsing the monkey, and then we'll break it down a little bit more, okay? So good Tai Chi posture, we're gonna start in from commencing form, dropping those shoulders, tucking your butt, hollowing out your chest, tongue on your palate, head straight up, 50-50, commencing form. The right foot gets 60, 70, 80, 90, 100% to allow our left foot to open, toe, sole, arch, heel. Hands rotate to the middle of the thighs as we elevate both hands while we take a deep breath in. At shoulder level, we drop our shoulders, flex our knees, make ourselves small. We center the left hand. The right hand is higher. We open both to the palms to the ceiling. We glance at the back hand as we bring that hand to the ear, turning our face. Acknowledge that hand in the center, pulling forward, pulling back, pushing back. Center, glance at the back hand, bring it to the ear, turn our face, meet both hands in the middle as we slide, as we repulse the monkey. We're going to be on a T stance, and we're going to be parallel. We're going to do another movement called brush knee. Out on an L, move that hand, move the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, pivot, firm down, parallel higher, ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. I'm going to take you for another one because we have already practiced it. Sit back, sit down, sit back, twist, T, holding your ball. We're going to part the wild horse's mane. Out into the side, move that ball, part the wild horse's mane. Here it is. Sit back, sit down, pivot, firm down, hold your ball for better balance. Out on an L, move that ball, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot, hold your ball on a T stance, okay? So now we did commencing form, repulsing of the monkey, brush knee, and part the wild horse's mane. 4 movements, okay? So we saw it as a whole, now we're gonna take it apart, and we're gonna work on the second movement, which is repulsing of the monkey, and move on to the third movement, okay? So when we repulse the monkey, we need to center ourselves. So just to see the whole, this is playing my lute. To repulse the monkey, I need to center myself. The hand in the front centers me. The hand in the back is almost like a counterbalance hand, okay? When I repulse the monkey, I have to put all the weight on my back foot to help me to bring it here, to bring it here, to bring it here, to repulse the monkey. I center, I look at the higher hand, I glance at it, weight all in the back to help me to lift my front foot as I bring it to the ear, down, repulse of the monkey, okay? And we do that 4 times. But in the 10 form, this movement I just did is abbreviated, okay? But I want to show you why you have to center yourself and why you have to glance and why you have to position your hands and your weight at a certain point. So our left hand, your left hand is in the middle and your right hand is up higher. You glance at your right hand, you bring it to the ear, you turn your hips and waist, you meet both hands in the middle, acknowledge it, and then slide. Center, left hand up higher, glance, open to the ceiling, bring it to the area of your ear, turn your hips and waist, meet both hands in the middle, slide forward, slide back. So I'm doing it the same side you are. Center, higher, open, glance, area of the ear, meet in the center, slide forward, slide back. Center, higher, glance, area of the ear, turn the hips and waist, acknowledge that center, slide. Center, higher, look, ear, turn, slide. Center, higher, glance, ear, turn, meet, slide. Okay? So let's start with 1 now. This is repulsing of the monkey is movement 2. So let's string it along with 1. Okay? The first one, which is commencing form. Okay? Good Tai Chi posture. Commencing form. The right foot has 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Open. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Hands rotate to the middle of the thighs. Take a deep breath in as we elevate both hands. Push down, make yourself small, flex your knees. Center the left hand. Right hand rises higher. Open both palms to the ceiling. Bring the back hand to the area of your ear as you glance. Turn your hips and waist. Acknowledge that center. Slide forward, slide back. Center the right hand. Left hand up higher. Open both to the ceiling, palms. Bring it to the ear. Turn the hips and waist. Meet in the center. Repulse of the monkey. This is a drill. Center, higher, glance, ear, turn, center, slide. Center, higher, glance, open, ear, turn, center, slide. One more. Center, higher, glance, ear, turn, center, slide. Center, higher, look, ear, turn, center, slide. T stance. How do you get a T stance? This time, the left hand is parallel and the right hand is higher. Are you looking like me? We're going to do this motion now, okay, on an L stance. How's that L stance? It's going to be out here on our heel, right? Try it first. Ear, hand, heel, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, pivot, T stance, right hand parallel, left hand higher. We're going to do an L stance. Out on an L, move that to the ear, down with the hand, brush your knee. This is a drill. Sit back, sit down, pivot, parallel higher on a T, multitask. Ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, pivot, parallel higher on a T, ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, pivot, parallel higher on a T, ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, pivot, parallel higher on a T, ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot, hold your ball in a T stance, out on an L, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot, hold your ball for better balance on a T, out on an L, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot, center yourself with your ball on a T, out and to the side, move that ball, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot, hold your ball, out into the L, move that ball, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, parallel higher on a T, ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, pivot, parallel higher on a T, ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Very good. Sit back, sit down, pivot, parallel higher on a T, ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, pivot, parallel higher, ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, hold your ball on a T stance. Okay, so that's very good. Even if you didn't get it 50%, 60%, 70%, 80%, you didn't get, but you did something, you were actually doing something good for your body. You shifted your weight, you learned to use the muscles in your limbs to get stronger, okay? And all of these routines really help, and then the next step would be to coordinate your hand motions with your feet motions. And it does take time, and it is a difficult discipline. Okay, so I'm going to just stand here to show you some of the things that we just tried to do. This is commencing form, 100% open, 50, 60, 70, evenly distributed. Hands rotate. This is how we commence. The hands go for the ride. Notice what my hands do. They set themselves up and they go for the ride. How is it going for the ride? I'm making myself small and flexing my knee. Center my front hand. Back hand goes higher. I open both to the ceiling, to the palms of the ceiling. I watch as I glance. I acknowledge that center. Slide forward, slide back. I center. Rise up higher, I glance, open, bring it to the ear, turn the face, meet both hands in the center as I slide and repulse the monkey. T stance, so T stance, parallel, higher, multitask. Ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Bow stance, right? Sit back, sit down, pivot, firm down, T stance, parallel and higher. Ear, heel, hand, L stance, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, watch again. Firm down. Multitask. When this comes to my ear, this comes down. When these two things happen, this guy happens. Ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, pivot, parallel higher on a T, multitask. Ear, hand, heel, turn hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, pivot, hold your ball. Out and to the side, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot, hold your ball for better balance, out on an L, bow stance. Okay? Get it? Yeah, it looks like it's fun. By you watching me, and even when you're doing it, there's some kind of a connection. But maybe the connection is not really clear yet because you're still training your body to do that routine. It is always T stance, L stance, bow stance, but something's happening up here that throws us off over here. So what do? Do you let two things bother you and you figure it out after it bothers you? Yeah, I guess you could, but then the better way maybe is to get the whole picture first, and then just say, forget about my hands, and just let's make sure my feet are on autopilot, okay? Then when you think it's pretty much auto, then you put your hands together. So we can get really, really dig down deeper and refine a lot of our movements. But being a basic intro class that covers the principles, I think I would rather accept what you do, and hopefully I can help you correct it, like how I told you not to just come here and not to take a small gap, but a little bigger gap, bring it in and check that. I rather do those kinds of things, put some hand motions to it, and build from there, okay? There are many ways of teaching Tai Chi, many ways of still gaining strength and mobility and flexibility, and still being safe in a lot of different ways. So we're not so geared up to learn 10 movements in 10 weeks or 24 movements in 10 weeks, et cetera, but what we're trying to do is lay the groundwork so that once our groundwork is laid, we can take this avenue to the 10, we can take this to the 24, and we can take this to the 16, all because our groundwork and our foundations are understood. Okay?
We haven't said too much about Tai Chi, the frame of mind, but Tai Chi masters say, in Tai Chi, it is the mind that tells the body what to do. The mind is the guide to the body. The intention, or the mind, what they're thinking about is the intentional mind. They're not thinking about the, as a physician, I think about the neurologic. If I step on something like that doesn't feel so good, I don't know what it is, but I'll do one of these things. But that's reflex. What you're trying to do is intention. And the intention in Tai Chi is to base your movements on martial arts. The derivation is from martial arts. And I'm just going to try to give you an idea of what it is, more so you get an idea of why are you moving your hands in such odd ways. Because to many people at this point, it's pretty odd. You say, why do I have to do my hands this way? Why I'm doing it this way? But I'll try to show you. For instance, in commencing form, you're here, and what you're trying to do is do this, and you're trying to do this, okay? What you're doing is you're trying to move the body, and you're trying to use the core muscles. And the core muscles are the muscles of the trunk of the body, the hips, legs. So when you're coming up this way, your first thing is not just lifting it up like so, but you are using the core muscles, the lower shoulder, upper back muscles to push your hands forward. And the utilization of that is, if somebody is going to be coming to strike you, it's not like this, but it's so you have enough power. Otherwise, your hand might just bounce off that blow, and you'll still get hit. Versus if you're coming this way, you're same thing. If somebody is going to be directing a blow here, you could slap it, but you might not get it. But if you're shoulder, elbows, come down. And we term, when she says, make yourself small, that's the Tai Chi term of dropping your shoulders and dropping your elbows. Making yourself small to emphasize the power of the trunk of the muscles, not the flapping hands. They're just repulsing the monkey. You're out here we just use this as a means of guide. And the hand comes here, and as this comes forward, this is a blow. And you're not flapping with your hands. Again, you have a little bit of rotation of your body, and you're dropping. You see how my shoulder dips? And that's a lot of power there, and you direct your hand to here. But by the same token, what you're doing with this hand, it initially is an orientation hand, just to sort of keep you where the midline is. But really, in actuality, it is grabbing the opponent's, maybe his wrist or his hand, you're pulling him toward you, and you're also striking him. It's a double dose of getting him nearer and also giving your body. But even this, you are not this, you are turning your body, you're dropping the rest of your body to pull him in, and you're using this other side, and you're twisting, and you're using that part of the body, okay? This for here, and this is to do this. Brush knee, it's the concept of using spirals. Tai Chi uses spirals. Okay? So when you're coming this way, forward, this has to do with trying to block a blow. Brush your knee, but it's really, if somebody was trying to kick you, from here, the whole rotation of the body, shoulder, arm. By the same token, you're coming here, and you're, okay? Now you switch. The spiral comes from here, here, back down, okay? So here, and you say, why do I have to come here? Well, you're here, somebody's going to strike a blow to you. You brush him down, you brush his blow, and you come down, and what do? You're advancing, and you're turning your body, and you block. At the same time, this hand is coming up here, and you're using your body to get the core, and you're turning. You're not trying to just slap him this way. You're using the concept of advancement and rotation to, on one hand, the rotation is helping you to block, and you're dropping your shoulders, and you're dropping your elbow as you put the blow down or the block down, and this time, this is coming up here, and it's going to be delivering it by turning the waist, advancing, and delivering the blow. So there's meaning to why you do it. So sometimes if you think a little hard and you say, geez, my hand is going in a certain movement or should be in a certain movement, how is it being utilized? And that may direct you so that, if you're going to do parting the horse's mane, you're not out this way. You are here because you're trying to get underneath the person, and you're twisting your shoulder, okay? And you say, why do we keep this hand? This is just, number one, it's a practice. If you were to use this separately, it's almost like a brush knee in a different way. This hand is coming down. But when you do that, what happens to the back of your body up here? If you try and do it, put both arms and, go ahead and try this. Put arms, one arm forward, one arm back. And think about, and sort of hold it in a static position. Do you feel the power in your hands? Or can you potentially feel that in order to hold this thing upward, you're using your back as a platform on which your hands can do their things? Think about it, that it's the platform, okay?
So Ken gave me an idea, something that I can connect, another element that we talked about. So remember we said that this is our body. Show me your body up here, okay? And this is good Tai Chi posture. To protect yourself, you have to be stable, you have to have centering. Once you go forward and your finger goes forward, you're going to fall, and your opponent is going to be there just to push you down. But if you're standing erect, you're grounded both feet 50-50. And even if you're on one, you're balanced enough so that you're centered. If you're strong enough, that person cannot push you down. But once you give him that slight bend in your spine and you're not in good Tai Chi posture, it's easy for him to push you. So why are we so strict? Tai Chi is a discipline based on martial arts. And what Ken just said to you, it's defending yourself, okay? So you always want to be centered. Not that we are going to fight, but centering helps us with balance, okay? It also, our world makes more sense when we are centered in many ways, okay? It's more organized, it's more disciplined, and we have more confidence. All right. We have about less than 10 minutes. I want to leave you with a challenge, okay? So we're going to do Tai Chi walk to the front, but we're going to incorporate some of the movements that we just did, okay? I'm just thinking it through, but I want to always impress on you that there is a connection on our Tai Chi walk and all the forms that we teach. It's not too hard. It will help you to understand an L stance, okay? So let's warm up our bodies first. Good Tai Chi posture. Pivot on our right heel. Shift our weight out on an L. Move that energy out to a bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, walk in that left direction, out on our heel, on the line or parallel to the line, L stance, bow stance. Sit back, sit down. Holding our ball, left hand on the bottom, right hand on the top. Move that ball in an L. Bow stance, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, hold your ball for better balance, out on an L, parallel or on a line, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, parallel higher on a T, ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, parallel higher on a T, out on an L stance, move the back hand, bring down that other hand, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, parallel higher on a T, ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, parallel higher on a T, ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. One more. Sit back, sit down, pivot out, parallel higher on a T, ear, heel, hand, turn the hips and waist, brush your knee. Okay, this one we're going to have fun. Half step forward, sit back on your back foot, bring the other foot to the toe, bring it to its heel, set it down. We're playing our lute. We're going to repulse the monkey and think about it, okay? Drop your front foot, weight on the back, center the front hand, look at the back hand that's higher. As you bring your back hand to the ear, we're going to lift up our front foot because it's supposed to be weightless. Ear, toe, heel, pivot on the ball of your foot to meet in the middle, slide forward, slide back. Center the front hand, look at the back hand that's higher. Weight on the back foot. Lift up the front foot as you bring it to the ear, toe, heel, pivot on the ball of your foot to meet in the middle, slide forward, slide back. As we're going slowly and thinking about all of this complicated movement, we are actually incorporating very, very safe movements. Safe because the front hand is centering and we're glancing at the back. The whole idea now is to put all the weight on your back foot to allow the weightless foot to come up, and we're safety netting it by putting it to our ear, toe, heel, pivot on the ball of our foot as we meet in the middle, and repulse the monkey. Center, higher, glance, weight on the back foot, bring it to the ear for better balance, heel, middle, slide. Last one, center, higher, glance, lift, ear, toe, heel, bring it to the center, repulsing of the monkey. Pivot your right foot, hold your ball in the T-stance. So you all got back home. How'd that happen? You must have been processing something correctly, okay? So that's really, really good, really, really good. And it'll even get better with more practice and more lessons, okay? So time's run out, but I think you really did well. Continue the good work, and we'll see you next time. Okay, good job. See you next time.